Hello there, and warm welcome back to Proactive London. Dominic White is joining us once again, the chairman of 8 Capital Partners. Good to see you. And also today, accompanied today by Tim Lupprian, the E-Ledger Capital Solutions Limited CEO. A warm welcome to you both. How are we?
Great, thank you, Katie.
Good. And great to see you Katie as well. Hi, Tim. So let's get stuck in here, and we're going to learn about this collaboration and kind of why you're here together. So good to see you again, Dominic. So there is an obvious connection really for fintech for both businesses, but how specifically are the pair of you connected, and why are you both here today with me?
Well, we're connected in 3 ways. Firstly, I'm chairman of both companies, 8 Capital and E-Ledger. Secondly, I'm a shareholder in both companies into E-Ledger through Max Private Equity Group. But more importantly, we have very strong areas of interest, which is fintech, as you said. It is securitization and trade receivables. So we're very interested in those areas, both companies. And we're here today because I wanted as a capital, our shareholders, to get to know more about trade receivables and securitization, because that is a very strong area of interest for 8, and we will be looking to grow our business in that direction through a fintech platform. As we know, 8 Capital is doing 2 main things. It's growing fintech operating businesses that aim to provide faster, cheaper access to capital. And secondly, it's providing capital to those fintech businesses into their platforms and through their platforms, so that we never end up with a situation where we've got a great fintech business that can't scale up, that can't deliver its business plan because it can't access capital. So we're providing the 360-degree solution to fintech so we can grow efficiently our financial services operating group.
All right, that makes sense. Tim, you are the CEO of E-Ledger, as we say. Can you maybe tell us what you bring to the business in terms of your experience, your expertise in this industry?
Katie, yes, of course. I think it's best summed up with 2 words. I bring memory and a capacity for innovation. Memory, because I've been working in the asset-backed securities sector for 2 decades, and I've seen through several economic cycles changes in the nature of trade receivable portfolios, and also, probably even more important, investor requirements. Even during periods of crisis, the collapse of LTCM, the big 2007-2008 global financial crisis, times of risk. So I think a broad perspective of how demand changes is important, but so too is the ability to get transactions done, even as I mentioned, in panicky periods, such as 2007-2008, when I and my colleagues completed, for example, a transaction in the Middle East, the largest securitization, I think, to date executed in the Middle East for utility bill receivables. And for the last 10 years, I've been exclusively working on European trade receivable deals and threading the needle, as the Americans sometimes put it, to get a transaction, to herd all the different parts of the transaction together and get it closed.
Mm-hmm. It has been an established asset class for quite a while now already. So maybe give us your thoughts as to how the industry is likely to develop with the advent of fintech, and what opportunities you see for businesses such as E-Ledger going forward, Tim.
Well, Katie, yes, you're absolutely right. It's a reliable and expanding asset class, but it's been hitherto largely the province of the big beasts, large international corporates, listed, probably rated, who executed fairly large wholesale-sized market transactions to raise their working capital needs. And what I think fintech is already providing, and E-Ledger will provide, is access to working capital, non-bank working capital for mid-sized corporates and even some small and medium-sized enterprises. So I think that's probably the key development at the moment. Fintech does 2 broad things. It makes transactions cheaper to run, cheaper to originate, cheaper to run, and more transparent. And secondly, and this is, I think, the really crucial point about trade receivable finance and fintech. It potentially expands the investor base and creates greater liquidity in those transactions.
All right. Now, according to the eLedger company website, it states that you provide not only advisory services, but rather more unusually, you also have the ability to invest in TRS transactions directly alongside other institutional investors. Why is this important, do you think, in your view, Tim?
Katie, yes, you put your finger on a really crucial point. There are many platforms that exist in the marketplace now that introduce corporate clients looking to raise working capital finance and fixed income investors. By investing in the lower end of the capital structure, eLedger will demonstrate confidence in our own structuring and modeling capacity. But fundamentally, it demonstrates that we've aligned our interests with those of the other senior investors. It's for that reason that we also offer servicing capacity. We provide servicing to transactions that we've structured to identify and solve problems as early as possible. In short, it demonstrates that we have to get it right, which is a little bit more than some other providers of simply platforms. We provide the platform plus the commitment.
Dominic, let's just get your view on all that's been said so far, because it seems like eLedger is a natural fit in terms of technology, business sector, the target market for investment. The target market for investment for you as well. Is that something that you might be considering down the line?
Well, as I mentioned at the start, right now, there is no discussion going on between the two companies around ownership. We are looking at potentially at ways of how we could operate together. But what this was all about was because we have these overlapping areas of interest, because I believe so strongly in eLedger and what Tim is doing, and you can see how much he brings, and the history and his knowledge and the wisdom around securitization and trade receivables and indeed transactions done. I wanted shareholders to have the chance to hear a bit more about this sector that we've talked about, or I've talked about myself, from someone who's really lived and breathed it for many, many years. So thanks to Tim for that.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thank you very much indeed. Very informative and educational. Thank you both here on Proactive London this afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks both.